Now we're going to take a look at theme and variation. This one is quite a bit easier, so I imagine this is probably going to be one that many of you select. But theme and variation, a few things to take a note of. We are in the key of G major, as indicated by the key signature. Okay, and it's a theme and variation, so you'll see that the theme section, which starts here, ends right there. And then we have a variation that occurs here and goes to the very end of the piece. So let's kind of compare some of the parts just to see, well, what has changed and what doesn't change. Let's start off by looking at the bass line. So if we compare the bass lines, you'll notice they're actually the same notes. Some differences, though, is on the initial theme, it's staccato, then legato, whereas that is not indicated in the variation. So we actually follow all of these patterns. You'll notice that's also the same, and also the same here. Okay, so the left hand actually is identical. So the bass line stays the same. Okay, so that's pretty easy. Now let's take a look at the chords on the right hand. So if we actually look at the chords here, D, G, B, that's a G major chord. It's exactly the same notes. So by learning the theme, you'll be able to play the variation relatively easily because it is the same notes. It's just now broken into an arpeggio instead. So other than that, this is pretty straightforward. Anytime you're dealing with a 6/4 positioning, like you have here and here, okay, you're always going to use the fingering 1, 3, 5. Whenever you're dealing with a root position triad, this will be also 1, 3, 5. The only time you'll use 1, 2, 5 are in first inversion triads such as this. This will be 1, 2, 5. So very, very, very simple. Really, we just have to look for those in instances where you do have first inversion triads, 1, 2, 5. Everything else, for the most part, is 1, 3, 5. You do have another exception, which is right here. That'll be 1, 2, 4. Just beware of that sharp, the F sharp that occurs there. And literally everything else is 1, 3, 5. The fingering is going to be identical for the second half of the right hand. So, very straightforward. If we look at the left hand fingering, we're basically going to follow the same rule. So this is actually just a root position triad. So 5, 3, 1. This is also a root position triad, same fingering. On this measure, this is also a root position triad, 5, 3, 1. Then you'll cross over to second finger on the G sharp, then to fifth, your first finger, fifth finger, and then fourth finger. The rest follows the same pattern. This is theme and variation. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1.